Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Big Sexy titled New Mexico Nights. And if we switch over to here, this is off of the album titled Rivers or River of Shame released through Outside Records. And we're going to listen through this track from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go.
New Mexico nights. New Mexico nights.
Great parallel major there.
Drove here in a blinding wind, a tornado of tumbleweed and dirt. Didn't care if my car skidded over a rail and I tumbled away from her. New Mexico nights.
Back to the hook.
New Mexico night. Pink moon trying to rise in my heart, but I gotta find my soul or I have to go. Got a daughter and two sons that I haven't seen in 6 months. My ex took them on a long distance trip, but she's still on the run. New Mexico night.
So there's context, back to the return, context, back to the return.
New Mexico night. Pink moon trying to rise in my heart, but I gotta find my soul or I have to go.
And flew. Or flew.
Oh, there's a cold wind blowing. I better cover up. Don't wanna think about them. How I miss their touch. How I miss their touch. The campfire is burning low, and the coyotes are singing loud. My pistol sweats in my hand, so I pray and look past the clouds. New Mexico night. New Mexico night. Pink moon trying to rise in my heart, but I gotta find my soul or I have to go.
Few different solo sections in this track, that's cool.
New Mexico night. New Mexico night. Pink moon trying to rise in my heart, but I gotta find my soul or I have to. But I gotta find my soul or I have to go.
And that was New Mexico Nights by Big Sexy off of the Rivers of Shame, or the River of Shame album, should I say. The track itself, we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion, but I think it's quite intriguing. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Big Sexy titled New Mexico Nights off of the River of Shame album. What do I think this track is about? I think it's about someone who is coping with the separation they have from their ex, have taken the kids away for 6 months. They miss them, they're by themselves. They're kind of struggling with the situation. They sort of have to find themselves. They have to find their soul or they have to go. So I suppose this is basically they're going through some sort of healing process. Maybe they're traveling down a river of shame or something like that. I'm not sure, but either way, I think it's a story that makes sense when you listen to it, and there's a bit of poetry in there. There's a few sort of figurative mentions and stuff like that. But either way, I think it's well told, and I'm sure there'll be people who can relate to the position that they're in. The vocals are great. They're palatable. They're friendly. They're easy to listen to. Come across clearly within the mix, whether it's the mains or the harmonies on the sides or in the backing. There's enough range there to be interesting throughout. It's accessible, and there's proper vocal technique there as well. It's not super like ridiculous, but it's enough to kind of carry the track and sound professional, and I enjoy the tone of it. I think that there were some really interesting vocal melodies and harmonies scattered throughout in the different verse and chorus sections there, and it was kind of cool how we would go back to the hook line and sort of get that stuck in your head every sort of like 2 or 3 lines of the verse, you know. There were twists and turns through it, but we managed to remain, again, like accessible throughout there, and I think that, yeah, that was handled. The track at 3 minutes 58 is just within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot there. We had several solo section and amongst a track filled with verses and choruses and other instrumental elements within it. I appreciated the use of that flute there, whether it was a pan flute or a flute. I thought that had a really pretty tone to it, and it was quite well played there, and I enjoyed the variation of different notes there, but the legato passages there and the range of different rhythms performed on that. It was a nice alternative to the main vocals, as well as a guitar solo that we had later on there that explored the fretboard majors and minors really well, as well as doing some interesting stuff with like the pentatonics and majors, minors and stuff, and maybe even some sort of like chromatical modular stuff. Great sort of bends there, and like it was effective. The rhythm parts, the picked parts, or the strummed bits alongside that in the rhythm section, alongside the keys, typically playing sort of chord triads, highlighting the main notes within those other, the overall harmony, with the bass underneath sort of rolling with the punches there, with the root notes there, and following through with the drum kit with some interesting movements there. We didn't always have 4/4. Sometimes we'd have sets of 3 bars or 2 bars or another 2 bars or 4 bars. It was unpredictable. Some parts were more sort of like straightforward with the 4/4 time sig, but others were more trying to fit around what the vocalist wanted to do in the journey they were going on there. And I kind of agree with the decisions made there, because you kind of make stuff less settled on one element, and then people appreciate you coming back to things being a bit more sort of like predictable in the next. It adds variety there rhythmically and structurally, which is cool. I think there was a great sort of like performance on the kit as well in regards to keeping the tempo there, and the different 8th, 16th, quarters, and 16th note grooves we had there were cool as well. And we didn't overcompensate on any instrument or try to take away too much from the vocals. When again vocals weren't there, there were the lead guitars and sort of flute parts, but I think the other instruments pocketed the way they needed to in order to make this track sort of like work. And ultimately, it was really well played with a great chemistry evident between the different instrumentalists involved, as well as the singer. The piece overall kind of sounded quite gentle in addition to the vocals, because there were no sort of harsh edges. There's a bit of sadness in the progressions we had there, but nothing too much. It was almost like we were kind of cozying up to the concept of the fact that we had to go through that growth. And I feel like it was a smart idea to have it like that, because if it made it sound too dire, it almost added maybe a little bit too much drama to really make sense with certain ingredients that were present. So I like the movements there, especially that parallel major in the second half of each hook section there. It was an unpredictable. You typically work with the minor in that front, but again, making it a parallel major there makes it seem like things are going to improve. It adds a bit of sort of unexpected optimism to it. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is well handled there. Really happy with the way things were leveled in the mix there. Vocals, guitars, keys, flute, bass, drums were all present there. Really well worked within the frequency spectrum. Music surrounded you in the headphones there. Vocals were in the center on the sides and stuff like that. It was great. And, there was dynamic range. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, but it was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. And it's stellar. It's a stellar effort. It's professional grade, commercial grade. It's ready for release. And if this is what this track is like, I'm sure the rest of the album is fantastic too. So thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named Big Sexy, titled New Mexico Nights, off of the River of Shame album, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via their various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.